All right, everybody, welcome back to Beans No Ball. I'm gonna close out our off-season type videos with one final, prediction type video before we really get into our season preview, which we'll get into a little more at the end. We're gonna get some breakout stars or breakout candidates that could come into this year. Now, the way we're gonna kind of line this up, I'm kind of gonna just jump into this myself. So it might be a controversial take to some, but I'm gonna say Bryce Young's in for a breakout year himself. I mean, when we look at him, just first things first, the new head coach, Dave Canales, we know he's pretty much a quarterback whisperer. We saw when he was, I don't know if he was an OC or an assistant in Seattle. He was a big reason Geno had his resurgence. Just last season with the Bucks, he was a big reason for Baker's big year. Now, is it a tougher situation with Carolina? Absolutely. But I think him being the main guy, I think he's going to be a big help for Bryce Young. And I think one something that we can look back on last year going into this year, the Week 16 game against Green Bay, we saw what Bryce Young can do when he has his O-line blocking for him. And, sure, it was that Green Bay defense, that Joe Barry defense that, obviously love to shit on since last season. But we see Bryce Young has the potential when his O-line gives him time. The Panthers built around the O-line this season, and I think that's going to give him a bigger opportunity. And that wide receiver room is looking pretty decent. I mean, obviously Xavier Leggett's someone I've been pretty high on ever since we've seen him in training camp. Deontay Johnson could look like a pretty good pickup, and Adam Thielen's still a pretty good veteran presence.
Yeah, obviously, like you said, the situation with the Carolina Panthers kind of makes it a little bit harder for him to have a breakout standout year. But like I said, the new coach and with the women around him, he does have the potential to, hopefully, lead the Panthers somewhere better. Not yet, but like you said, it is the Carolina Panthers, so there is still a little bit of turmoil they do got to fix within that whole organization. And as for my quarterback, or for my breakout, it's probably Anthony Richardson. We saw last season, we saw what he was able to do for the first couple games he was able to play. He's literally, sure, you can compare to Lamar Jackson, a bulkier Lamar Jackson, the way he can run at his feet, a little bit of good passes there, and obviously, the injuries will kind of slump them there and there. But now coming into preseason, he's looking a little bit better in today's game. He did go for 6 for 6 and a TD. Obviously, everyone was complaining about the pick six he threw, but tight end ran the wrong route, so that's our misjustified there. But he was looking pretty well so far. Training camp, he was looking really, really good. He's 100% healthy.
Which we will throw in, I guess there was, the rumblings just in that joint practice yesterday with the Bengals. I guess kind of some bad blood. It seemed like, oh, he's just a running back. Oh, he just runs, like throw the ball, trying to edge him on. But I mean, I guess those reports were kind of debunked. I think I was watching something on Pat McAfee. I mean, he really did end up bouncing back in that joint practice.
Yeah, so he is looking really well, and then looking at this Colts team, he's got Michael Pittman. They signed him to a multi-year deal in the offseason there. This is another young defense that's led by Kenny Moore as well. This whole team, and then the second-year coach coming in as well. This whole Colts team, especially looking at this more competitive AFC South division, I would expect Anthony Richardson to have a really big leap year and obviously fight for that one spot.
Yeah, and obviously, just what you said, it's just that injury that really derailed him, that possibly last year could have been his real breakout. But I think with Ant Rich, it's just if he learns when to go down at the right times and doesn't want to shoot for extra yards on dead plays, that's going to be one of the key differences if he can actually really break out. And now I'll move into a running back, and this is another one that I guess maybe more casual fans really wouldn't really know about him, but Chase Brown from the Cincinnati Bengals. I've seen his name pop up a lot. A lot of people really like him to break out this year, and obviously we remember him last season. You might remember, you might not. He was he really showed flashes into that second half. First half of the season, I believe the first 11 games, he only got like 5 touches, but into that second half, when Joe Mixon started struggling, Chase Brown really started to shine. Really got an opportunity to show what he was worth. And sure, the Bengals did pick up Zach Moss. That might turn some people away from this, but let's also remember right now in training camp, the coaching staff loves him. I think he's been training with the ones for a lot of it, for what it's worth. Zach Moss might start as the one. I mean, he might lose that place already. He might start as the one. But I'm really expecting Chase Brown to really move into that number one role and kind of be a big surprise. So I mean, for fantasy wise, someone to might keep an eye on.
Yeah, obviously, Chase Brown, he did pick it up the last season for the Bengals. Now he does have Joe Burrow back in there under center there, so obviously that big backfield with Chase Brown and Zach Moss is gonna be a real big thing there. But if Chase Brown ends up being the running back too, I would still think he's done having a breakout year. Could it be like a flash of Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard from 2 seasons ago? Tony Pollard, exactly, he thrived at that running back 2 spot. So whether or not he gets the 1 spot, Chase Brown at the 2, and has the exact same trajectory that Tony Pollard had 2 years ago with the Cowboys, I can still see a potential chance for breakout there. And with my running back as well, moving back to the NFC, is Bijan Robinson. We saw Bijan last season. He was a great on the ground for the Atlanta Falcons, but we already know how he was really underutilized towards that. Like I already forgot the head coach's name. It's been a while. Arthur Smith, there you go. Thank you. Arthur Smith was just not utilizing him at all in some games towards the end of the season. We don't know what was going on. I think at one point he didn't even get touches in one half of the one of the games early on. So obviously now with Raheem Morris leading the Atlanta Falcons as the head coach, I would expect Raheem to get Bijan more involved in an offense, and let alone all those Atlanta Falcons players there now that they've been acquired. But with Bijan there at the backfield with Kirk Cousins there, that running back game is going to be deadly, and it's going to really help get a lot of pressure off Kirk Cousins there. And you just really got to hope Raheem Morris does not do what Arthur Smith does and just do not utilize.
I think we could definitely. Well, I mean, if we remember his defensive schemes with the Rams, there was some times that he would play guys out of place. So let's hope that doesn't carry over into his head coaching decisions. But you mentioned the Falcons is something that we kind of talked about a little before. You could throw in all their big weapons. You could throw in guys like Kyle Pitts, which I know we're saying this every year. This is Kyle Pitts' breakout year. Everyone kind of just says it. But this year, with a real quarterback, I think Kyle Pitts really does have an opportunity. And Drake London, a USC guy that we both know and love. I think he definitely, he himself just can, him more than anyone can really take advantage at that receiver position to take the fruits of Kirk Cousins' labor. And keeping at receiver, just someone that, my main receiver that I want to get into, Jameson Williams out in Detroit. I mean, I think one of the big things, he hasn't had a full season yet, and he's still, he shined last year as basically the 2 option at the receiver spot. Possibly, you could even argue 3 with the resurgence of Sam Laporta, and I think that's what you gotta look at. There's a big chance that Amon-Ra and Sam Laporta are going to be getting a big chunk of the target share, much of the attention from the defenses as a whole. So J-Mo might get that opportunity to really shine as a quiet maybe second, third option. And going back to what I said, it's the first time he gets to play a full year. Rookie year, he suffered that ACL, and then last season we all know he wanted to throw in his parlays. He wanted to mess around with that, and he had to mess with that suspension, but now he gets a full year. He's going to be in the swing of it by the time everyone's ready, and I think J-Mo's going to be dangerous this year.
Yeah, just an unfortunate events for him with the suspensions and then the early on injuries he did receive. Because when he came into the league 2022, when they drafted him, I was high on J-Mo for this Lions team, but
which, if I'm not wrong, I think he came in injured, right? Alabama. I think.
I know. Yeah,
he had that ACL in the bowl game, right?
And I'm not too sure, honestly. I don't remember that game, but he did obviously end up injuring the ACL later in that season there. So with how the offense is of the Detroit Lions, how diverse it is on the ground game, the pass game, the way Jared Goff is able to utilize and extend the plays there, it's pretty much bound for J-Mo to finally pick up the bounds on what he left off in Bama with the Detroit Lions team. Coming off with another one of my receivers that I've been high on last season, kind of getting more of the spotlight. There's Tank Dell. He hasn't had a full season yet. Obviously, later in the season, he did finish his season because he did end up getting an injury. I believe it was it his arm or was it
was it his shoulder or clavicle type?
His shoulder, right?
Upper.
It was somewhere in
right? I think so.
It did end this season there. Tank Dell, him and Nico Collins, but Tank Dell, he was kind of, I guess, the 1 spot there for the Texans there, and C.J. Stroud's pretty much big weapon right then and there. Him entering his second year, I really do expect a lot for Tank Dell moving in with this Houston Texans team. Sure, I know a lot of people overrated this Texans team with how well C.J. Stroud displayed, but all the bias and all the points proven for this Texas team to strive, it's all right there on the table. It's right there on the pen, and everything's justified there. Tank Dell is one of these receivers I'm really high on for this upcoming season to have another outstanding breakout year. And hey, even if it's something sad, if Nico ends up being the main target, the pressure will be on Nico, and Tank Dell opens up the pass game more for CJ Stroud there. So I'm really looking forward for Tank Dell. Hopefully play this full season and see what he's able to do for this Texans offense.
And I think that's the argument a lot of people can make, that maybe, obviously with the acquisition of Stephon Diggs and obviously having Nico Collins, maybe it's going to be just a committee at wide receiver similar to what we see in Green Bay. But I mean, you put it perfectly. I really do think Tank Dell, after I mean, you could argue last year he broke out, but this year, we hope that he can get a full season, and obviously hoping for the best, hoping that he can recover fully for that injury and be back. And obviously, remember, he had a scary situation in the offseason with that shooting. So as long as he's 100%, I think he's definitely going to be he's going to be a star for Houston. And we've been pretty offensive heavy in this video, so we're going to show some love on the defensive side. For me, I'm gonna have to go with another second-year guy, cornerback Christian Gonzalez out of New England. You could argue he was on a defensive rookie of the year pace last season before that injury, and unfortunately he was out for the season. I don't remember exactly what his injury was. I think it was also like an arm or upper body too.
It was lower, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, viewers can fact check us on that, but yeah, I mean, that injury was detrimental. That the Patriots defense, as terrible as that team was, the defense was the bright spot, and to lose such an anchor, that obviously really derailed the season. Let them get Drake May, so good for them. But I think you look at what the Patriots got going. They got the defensive head coach in Gerard May. I think he's gonna be really working well with Christian. And I think if you also just look at in general, just this really solid Patriots defense as a whole, that sure, they lost Matt Judon. I think that is going to be a glaring point, but hey, they have a good enough D-line if you just look at it. And if the D-line starts to suffer because of the loss of Judon, you could argue that secondary is going to be really good. I know Jabril Peppers, and there's a couple other guys that, pretty big names in that secondary, but Christian Gonzalez could really turn into an anchor and, really, grow into a bigger role than what we saw last season.
Yeah, Gonzalez, he was kind of flying under the radar last season. Not everyone was really talking about it, but he was putting up all-pro numbers. He was shutting down, barely allowing any yards. He was pretty much locked down on some big receiver names. He was going pretty under the radar, and looking into it, he did. He was kind of set up a really good defensive rookie of the year campaign, but injuries, it's always got to be the downfall of some players. And how you put it perfectly there, that Patriots defense. As for Patriots fans, if you want some bright spots,
one silver lining.
It's your guys' defense. I'm expecting that Patriots defense to continue to be good. It's just the offense you guys got to worry about, with Gonzalez coming back with a secondary spot. Obviously, like you said, the absence of Judon, you would hope the secondary could kind of pick it a little bit, kind of be the main bright spot rather than the front seven and those linebackers. And now keeping it still, showing love to the defense. One of my guys, more of an overshown, my Texas boy. Sorry. The past couple of years, I've been really high on Demo. Looking at training camp, he's been looking really well. That injury, he's looking really healthy. I know that injury, that ACL last season in the preseason, it really hurt me, man. But we got Mike Zimmer now, the defensive coordinator position, and I know I mentioned with Zimmer, he's not Dan Quinn. He's not just gonna let the players free ball wherever they want to be. Zimmer's gonna put players where they need to be put in. I know I mentioned it too. He's not gonna have a safety at linebacker like Marquise Bell, like Dan Quinn did last season. Sure, it worked out, but teams caught on to it. I'm really hoping for this linebacker core specifically, with the addition of Eric Kendricks. I had a little brain fart right there with Eric Kendricks, DeMar Overshown, and even Damar Clark, those linebacker guys right there. And our rookie Marius Lafu, who's been looking really well in preseason as well there. So those linebacker groups specifically it's looking really well with how Mike Zimmer's gonna really structure them there. And with Demo, I've peeped them in Texas the times he played. I'm really hoping for a breakout year for them, since our linebackers last season, that was kind of one of the really it's kind of the weak spots in our defense of how well felt the downfall of that defense did go towards the end of the season there. But I got a lot of hope for Demo, and obviously I'm going to really pay close attention to this game this upcoming season.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, obviously, when we went to Oxnard, we got to see, I believe we didn't get to see him because we only got to see your offensive side of the ball. But I mean, obviously,
most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I've heard great things, obviously, from you directly. I think that's the main way I keep up with the lesser known Cowboys players. And I, you know, if what you say is true, I do expect Overshown to really have a great year for himself. And well, you know what, you got to show your boy some love. I'm gonna throw something real quick before we end. For the Rams defense, I think Byron Young. If we're looking at, we see. Obviously Kobe Turner was the main guy that got all the attention last year. Going into this year, Jared Verse and Braden Fisker are guys that are really getting the attention now. Don't forget about Byron Young. He might be someone that could sneak under the radar within the some other probably bigger names on our defense, and I think he could definitely have a good year for himself. But that is going to do it for us right here. Let's see how good these predictions end up. Obviously, we had a slew of these type of videos in the past couple of weeks, but now everything really starts. Where obviously we kind of alluded to that we're gonna do something a little different into our preseason predictions, and we're gonna do, I guess, on what we're calling this the 10 days of NFL predictions. I guess we could call it something like that. We're gonna run through every division, video by video, day by day, as we count down the days to kickoff, and we'll finish off with the awards and our own playoff brackets, and hopefully we'll see if that leads us into Bean Talk to kick off the season. But definitely look out for that. I believe Monday we should be coming out with the first video for the AFC East, if I'm not mistaken. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you like and subscribe. We'll see you guys back for all the 10 days of kickoff predictions.